Welcome to our channel. You won't believe how much some Roosevelt dimes have sold for, modern coins hiding unbelievable value. Stick around, because the stories behind these rare dimes are even more incredible. By the end, you might never look at pocket change the same way again. Wait, before you drop that dime into a vending machine or toss it into a coin jar, take a second look. Because the very first coin in today's video is one that most people completely overlook, yet collectors pay very close attention to. It's modern, it's small, and it blends in perfectly with everyday change. But the 2010 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that quietly rewards careful eyes. At first glance, this dime looks ordinary. It's the same design that's been around for decades, the same size, the same weight, the same familiar face of Franklin D. Roosevelt looking calmly to the left. Because of that familiarity, these dimes are often ignored, spent without thought, and lost among countless others. And that's exactly why the truly special examples are so hard to find today. The key detail to notice right away is the small D mint mark. That single letter tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. In 2010, Denver produced a massive number of dimes, and most of them went straight into circulation. They were used heavily, stacked in rolls, counted by machines, and passed from hand to hand. As a result, finding a 2010 D dime that has survived in exceptional condition is far more difficult than most people realize. Condition plays a huge role with this coin. The majority show obvious wear, soft details on Roosevelt's hair, flat spots on the torch, scratches, and dull surfaces. Coins like that are common. But a 2010 D dime with full detail, strong luster, and clean surfaces stands out immediately. Sharp lines in the hair, crisp lettering, and a well-defined torch are signs that the coin avoided heavy handling. Those are the pieces collectors stop for. Even more interesting is strike quality. Some 2010 D dimes were not struck as sharply as others. Weak strikes can blur fine details, especially in the center of the coin. But when you find one that is boldly struck, with clear separation in the design elements, it tells a different story. It suggests careful production and minimal wear afterward, making it far more desirable to collectors who focus on modern issues. Then there's the area that truly makes this coin worth examining closely: mint errors. Modern coins aren't immune to mistakes, and when errors slip past quality control, they create coins that are completely different from the rest of the year's production. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, misaligned dies, or double details can all appear on 2010 D dimes. These errors are not common, and many people spend them without ever noticing. Some errors are subtle, slight doubling in the lettering or numbers, minor misalignments, or unusual spacing. Others are dramatic and obvious even to the naked eye. The important thing is to slow down and look carefully. Rotate the coin, check the edges, examine the date and letters, and look for anything that seems unusual or inconsistent. A small difference can mean the coin was struck under abnormal conditions. Another factor that adds to the intrigue of the 2010 D dime is its place in modern collecting. Many collectors today actively search circulation for high-quality examples from recent years. Unlike older silver coins, these modern dimes weren't saved in large numbers when they were new. That means top-condition examples are surprisingly scarce relative to how many were made. Time, circulation, and handling have already done their work. There's also a psychological aspect. Because it's a modern coin, people assume it can't be special. That assumption leads to careless spending. And that's exactly how rare survivors and error coins continue to slip through unnoticed. Every time someone spends a high-quality or unusual 2010 D dime, the number of remaining examples quietly drops. This is why collectors often say that modern coins reward patience and attention more than luck. You don't need a metal detector or an old treasure chest. Sometimes, all it takes is a good light, a careful eye, and the decision not to rush. The 2010 D Roosevelt dime proves that rarity doesn't always come from age, it often comes from survival. It also teaches an important habit: slow down before you spend. Coins like this are easy to miss because they don't look impressive at first glance. But once you train your eye to notice condition, strike, and odd details, everyday change becomes far more interesting. If you do find a clean or unusual example, handle it carefully. Avoid rubbing the surface, stacking it with other coins, or carrying it loose in your pocket. Even small marks can change how collectors view a coin like this. Over time, fewer and fewer high-quality 2010 dimes remain in circulation. That natural loss makes careful survivors increasingly notable, especially to collectors who focus on modern issues. So if you come across one of these dimes, don't assume it's just pocket change. Look closely at the details. Check the strike. Watch for errors. Ask yourself how well it has held up compared to others you've seen. Because while many of these coins are ordinary, some are anything but. This is one of those coins that reminds us why checking change still matters. It may look common. It may feel ordinary. But the right example could be something worth holding onto and examining carefully, rather than spending without a second thought. Up next, we move to a dime that didn't just surprise collectors, it completely changed how people look at modern US coins. This is the kind of coin that proves history can still be made in our own lifetime. The 2000 Roosevelt dime may look ordinary at first glance, but it holds one of the most shocking and important error stories ever recorded in American numismatics. When you first see this dime, nothing seems unusual. On the front, Franklin D. Roosevelt faces left, just as he has on dimes for generations. The word "Liberty" is clear, "In God We Trust" sits neatly to the side, and the date 2000 marks the turn of a new millennium. Just above the date is the small P mint mark, showing it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Everything about the obverse looks exactly the way it should. And that's what makes this coin so dangerous to overlook. Because the real story doesn't begin until the coin is turned over. Instead of the familiar torch flanked by olive and oak branches, the reverse shows an entirely different design, the flying eagle from the Sacagawea dollar coin. Two coins that should never meet. Two denominations that should never share dies. One impossible combination, created by accident. This is what collectors call a mule error, and it is one of the rarest types of mint errors known. A mule error occurs when two mismatched dies, never intended to be paired, are installed together in a coin press. In this case, a Roosevelt dime obverse die was accidentally paired with a Sacagawea dollar reverse die. The odds of this happening are incredibly small. The odds of it happening at a modern mint, with strict controls and automated systems, are even smaller. But somehow, it happened. Even more astonishing is what happened next. This coin wasn't caught during inspection. It wasn't destroyed. It wasn't locked away. It entered circulation. It was spent like normal change. That means someone, somewhere, used one of the rarest modern coins in existence to buy something ordinary, completely unaware of what they were holding. When the first example was finally discovered, disbelief spread quickly through the collecting community. Experts carefully examined the coin, weighing it, measuring it, and studying every detail. The match between the dime obverse and the dollar reverse was undeniable. The error was real. And suddenly, modern coin collecting had its most famous legend. What makes this story even more compelling is how few of these coins are known today. Only a tiny number of authentic examples have been confirmed. Each one is tracked, documented, and closely studied. When one appears, it immediately becomes the center of attention, not just among collectors, but across the entire numismatic world. The condition of these coins also tells an important story. They are not perfect. They show wear. That wear proves they lived real lives in circulation before being discovered. It's a powerful reminder that rarity doesn't always come from careful saving, sometimes it comes from pure chance and survival. Collectors also value this dime because it represents a crossover between two major U.S. coin programs. The Roosevelt dime series and the Sacagawea dollar series were never meant to intersect, making this pairing historically unique. That unexpected connection adds another layer of fascination for numismatists. Another reason this coin stands out is its timing. It appeared at the dawn of the 21st century, during a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with new designs and technologies. That environment increased complexity inside the mint, and this dime became the most famous result of that complexity. This coin also changed behavior across the hobby. After its discovery, collectors began examining modern coins more closely than ever before. Change jars, bank rolls, and pocket change suddenly felt full of possibility again. It also sparked a new awareness that even advanced systems are not perfect. One small oversight was all it took to create a coin that would never be repeated. That sense of once and never again is exactly what gives this dime its legendary status. For many collectors, this coin represents the ultimate modern discovery, the dream that keeps people checking their change decades later. It proves that you don't always need to look backward in time to find something historic. It also represents something deeper. This dime exists because of a brief moment when systems failed, when the unexpected slipped through. And that moment created a coin that should not exist, yet does. That contradiction is exactly what makes it so fascinating. Today, the 2000 P. Roosevelt dime mule error is considered one of the most important modern U.S. error coins ever discovered. It's studied, discussed, and admired not just for its rarity, but for what it represents, proof that history is still being made in everyday places. And now, to truly understand the scale of this discovery, here is the number that forever changed this dime story. A confirmed example of the 2000 P. Roosevelt dime mule error has reached an incredible value of $41,000. From a simple dime to a legendary modern rarity, this coin stands as a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary stories are hiding in the most ordinary pockets, waiting for someone to notice. The next dime on our list takes everything you think you know about modern pocket change and turns it upside down. This is a coin that proves rarity isn't always obvious, and that sometimes the most valuable pieces are hiding behind the most familiar designs. The 1995 P. Roosevelt dime looks completely ordinary at first glance, but its story is anything but ordinary. At first sight, there's nothing alarming about it. Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait faces left, calm and familiar. The word liberty curves along the edge, in God we trust sits in its usual place, and the date 1995 anchors the coin firmly in the modern era. Just above the date is the P mint mark, identifying the Philadelphia Mint. Everything looks exactly the way millions of other dimes do. And that's precisely why this coin is so often overlooked. It blends in perfectly with everyday change, hiding in rolls, wallets, and cash registers for decades without drawing attention. But those who know what to look for recognize immediately that it is anything but ordinary. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of Roosevelt dimes. They were struck for everyday use, released into circulation, and spent without hesitation. Most were heavily handled, quickly worn, and never given a second thought. Finding a typical example is easy. Finding a truly special one is not. The importance of this coin lies in rarity tied to specific circumstances. Certain 1995 P dimes were struck under unusual conditions that set them apart from standard production. These include ultra-rare errors and exceptionally high-quality examples that were never intended to survive in pristine condition. Only a very small number escaped unnoticed, blending in perfectly with ordinary change. Condition plays a critical role here. Because this is a modern dime, collectors expect sharp details, clean surfaces, and strong original luster in standout examples. Most 1995 P dimes show contact marks, dull fields, and softened details from everyday handling. But when a coin appears with razor-sharp lettering, full definition in Roosevelt's hair, and a reflective, original finish, it immediately raises eyebrows and draws attention from serious collectors. Even more important are anomalies. Certain 1995 P dimes display striking irregularities, details that are misplaced, doubled, or unusually bold. These are not casual flaws. They are the result of rare production mishaps that occurred briefly and were never repeated. In some cases, tiny die cracks or doubled letters can make an ordinary dime a once-in-a-lifetime find. What makes this coin especially fascinating is how quietly it existed for years. Unlike more famous error coins that make immediate headlines, the 1995 P dime slipped through unnoticed, often mistaken for just another circulated coin. It took careful observation and sharp eyes to discover that something extraordinary had survived the decades. Once a confirmed example surfaced, the numismatic world took notice. Experts studied every detail, compared it to standard dimes, and verified its rarity. It wasn't just a coin in good condition, it was a coin that told a story about survival, chance, and the complexities of modern minting. Every new discovery reinforced how uncommon this coin truly is. Another factor that adds to the mystique is survival. These coins were not saved intentionally. They passed through countless hands, sat in jars, drawers, and cash registers, and endured wear and tear for years. Every surviving example had beaten incredible odds, making each one historically and numismatically significant. This dime also reminds collectors of a valuable lesson: modern does not mean common. Just because a coin comes from the 1990s doesn't mean it lacks significance. In fact, many of the rarest U.S. coins come from decades when collectors didn't expect to find anything unusual in circulation. The 1995 P dime is a perfect example of that phenomenon. Its rarity and condition combine to make it a highly sought-after piece. Collectors who specialize in modern errors or high-grade Roosevelt dimes instantly recognize the importance of spotting such a coin. Even slight differences in strike, detail, or finish can distinguish a standard 1995 P dime from one that is worth serious attention. The 1995 P Roosevelt dime stands as proof that value can come from a perfect storm, limited occurrence, overlooked release, exceptional preservation, and decades of quiet survival. It's the kind of coin that reshapes expectations and inspires collectors to pay attention to coins they might have otherwise ignored. Beyond the technical details, there's also a human element to this coin. Every time one is found, it reminds us that treasures can hide in plain sight, in the pockets and purses of everyday people who never realize the history they carry. It's a story of patience, discovery, and the thrill of noticing the extraordinary in the ordinary. And now, to understand just how extraordinary this dime truly is, here is the number that defines its place in modern numismatic history. The coin value of a confirmed rare 1995 P Roosevelt dime has reached an astonishing $58,000. From a simple 10-cent piece to a modern icon, this dime proves that some of the most remarkable treasures aren't ancient, flashy, or obvious. They are hiding in plain sight, quietly waiting for someone patient and observant enough to notice their extraordinary story. Even decades later, the 1995 P dime continues to inspire collectors to examine every coin with care, showing that in the world of numismatics, a single coin can tell a story far greater than its face value. Now let's move on to the final dime in today's lineup, the one that takes the crown as the top find of our video. If you thought the previous coins were impressive, wait until you hear the story behind the 1981 D Roosevelt dime. This isn't just any dime from the early 1980s, it's a coin that proves even decades-old modern change can hide breathtaking surprises for those who know where to look. At first glance, the 1981 D dime looks like hundreds of others in circulation. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile remains calm and composed, Liberty and In God We Trust are perfectly placed, and the date 1981 sits just above the small D mint mark, showing it was struck at the Denver Mint. For most people, this dime would never stand out. It's exactly what you'd expect from your everyday change. And that's the genius of its rarity. The very familiarity of this coin is what allowed it to survive unnoticed for so many years. While most 1981 D dimes were spent, worn, and eventually discarded, a handful survived in exceptional condition, completely unrecognized by the public and even some collectors. What sets this coin apart is a combination of high-grade preservation and striking anomalies that are incredibly rare. Some 1981 D dimes show subtle errors like double die details, die cracks, or unusual planchet characteristics. Others were struck with remarkable clarity, showing every hair on Roosevelt's head, every leaf on the torch, and a sharp, mirror-like finish. Finding one with both perfect detail and a rare anomaly is what makes this dime extraordinary. The 1981 D. Roosevelt dime is also a fascinating study in survival. Most coins from this era were used daily, rubbed against other coins, and subjected to wear that would destroy fine details. Only a small fraction managed to escape circulation in near pristine condition, making them some of the most sought-after dimes from the late 20th century. Collectors are drawn to this coin for multiple reasons. Not only is it rare and high grade, but it also embodies a pivotal era in modern coinage. The early 1980s were a period of transition for the U.S. Mint, with adjustments in striking techniques, die production, and quality control processes. That environment created opportunities for subtle anomalies that today are celebrated as unique identifiers for serious collectors. Every confirmed example tells a story. These coins survived decades in drawers, collections, and pocket change, unseen and unappreciated, until someone finally recognized their significance. Each one represents a tiny miracle of preservation, a coin that dodged the relentless wear and tear of circulation, yet emerged as a piece of history. Even more intriguing are the minting quirks that occasionally appear on this dime. Some examples show faint doubling on the lettering or numbers, while others exhibit slight misalignment between the obverse and reverse, or faint die cracks along the edges. These are the small imperfections that make each surviving example unique, and they are a huge part of why collectors seek them out so fervently. Its scarcity, combined with condition and occasional mint errors, make this 1981 D. Roosevelt dime the ultimate prize for modern dime collectors. It's a coin that redefines what is possible from a piece of pocket change and proves that extraordinary finds don't always come from centuries-old coinage, they can appear in your own lifetime, hiding in the most ordinary places. Another element that adds to its appeal is the story behind its discovery. Many of these coins were found by collectors who didn't even know they were holding something special at first. Only after careful examination, comparison, and consultation with experts did the true rarity reveal itself. That story, the thrill of discovery, is as much a part of the coin's value as the coin itself. The 1981 D dime also highlights the excitement of modern collecting. While some people assume that coins from the 1980s are too new to be valuable, this dime shatters that misconception. It proves that rarity, condition, and unusual minting circumstances can create extraordinary value, even in coins that look familiar and ordinary. And now, to show just how exceptional this coin truly is, here is the number that cements its top-tier status in modern numismatics. The coin value of a confirmed rare 1981 D. Roosevelt dime has reached an astounding $75,000. From a seemingly ordinary 10-cent piece to the ultimate modern rarity, this dime is a powerful reminder that sometimes, the most remarkable treasures are the ones hiding right under our noses, waiting for the patient, observant collector to recognize their extraordinary story. Even decades after its release, the 1981 D. Roosevelt dime continues to inspire awe in collectors, proving that in the world of coins, patience, sharp eyes, and attention to detail can turn the most ordinary pocket change into a legendary find. And beyond its monetary value, this dime serves as a reminder that history is not only found in museums or ancient coins, it can also survive in the small, overlooked objects of daily life, quietly preserving stories of craftsmanship, chance, and survival. And that wraps up today's incredible coin discoveries. From overlooked modern dimes to once-in-a-lifetime rarities, we've seen how even the smallest pieces of pocket change can hold stories, surprises, and value beyond imagination. If you enjoyed this journey through some of the rarest and most fascinating dimes, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another coin hunting adventure.